Alright, hello everyone. My name is Matthew and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going over my Omnath deck, and this is version 6. And you can find version 6 on Moxfield. Currently unlisted, but will be listed very soon. And also note, my channel name might change soon. That was just the old name, and not really working on much for me anymore. It's kind of eh. So anyway, here's Omnath, and if you want to look at the previous versions, they are available in the deck lists, and there is a link down below to look at the deck lists. But I'm just going to go over it. So I've played Omnath for a really long time, and I'm trying to upgrade it a little bit, and I've just kind of haphazardly yanked cards out, even if they were good cards. Like, just for example, I took out Thran Dynamo and put in Wilderness Reclamation just to try and get them push the more mana in this direction, which in testing out last weekend is actually really good. You would easily get a ton of mana from this as long as you can protect Omnath, which you can't always protect Omnath. It's kind of no big deal there. But even if you can't, you still get instant speed mana, which there aren't that many instances in this deck, but there are enough where it's worthwhile. So let's start on the mana cost. So really basic, you have mana rampers at turn 1, birds, green sun, Lumber Elves, Mana Vault, Sol Ring, and then you have kill your opponent's Sol Ring turn 1 from Nature's Claim. And now in turn 2, you're not really playing Collective Resistance turn 2, but I put it in because it's very modal, and this is everything I want it to do. I want to protect Omnath. I maybe want to and do something else at instant speed. So you protect Omnath, probably kill their Sol Ring, and just it's just really good, honestly, in mono green. Fanatic taps for 4. Counter transformation is basic green removal spell, which sometimes you just need that really quick removal to slow the game down. Because otherwise you're removing at 7, or using one of those power, toughness, deal damage cards, which those are just too slow. Every time I've played those are too slow. Because they don't work right away until late game. And chances are late game, I don't have enough power on a creature to kill something because it's probably huge. And most of the time, honestly, I'm playing against a bunch of other green players and they have Galta. And yeah, I'm not going to cut it in a fight with Galta most of the time if I'm dropping, I don't know, anything. Woodfall Primus, for example. So, but I did increase the level of protection in here for Omnath. Lightning Greaves is in here. So is Swiftfoot Boots. And Collective Resistance. I think there's one more. Yep, there's one more over here in the 3-drop Mithril Coat. So, because it has Flash and Indestructible. So, let's stay on the mana cost for now. So you know what Nature's Lore does, searches for land. And I actually took out Kodama's Reach and Cultivate in favor of 2-drop land tutors, which I was against that before, but just thinking about it, seems to make sense. And Voyaging Satire for more land untap, because potentially this can untap for... it's minimally untapping a 2-drop land. I mean, maybe not Ancient Tomb, you don't really want to do that, but you could do Ancient Tomb, or you could do Temple of a False God, which is the preferable one. But let's go to 3. Archdruid's Charm is the superstar of green rares instants, like flat out period. everything you want to do. It exiles an artifact or enchantment. It has a creature deal damage if you want a removal spell that way. Or you can tutor for a creature or a land. And I gotta tell you, I have tutored for a land directly into play, specifically the 2-drop lands. And it is just crazy good. It really is. Because if you can get 2 of those 2-drop lands out, you could just start getting inching ahead, even if you have nothing else. So, like, even if you draw no other mana ramp, which can happen even though there's a lot in the deck. Basic removal, Beast Within. Genesis Wave is, I don't know, I'm a little iffy on Genesis Wave these days, just because it requires a huge amount of mana. Like, we're talking, you have to Genesis Wave for at least 10 to make it worth it. Or else you're probably going to get stuck. But it's still in here. There hasn't been a replacement for it yet. And that's because you can Genesis Wave into haste now with Surok and Goreclaw. So let's see. Lamar Tribe is just, the biggest, quickest ramp you can do in green at 3 mana. And in the same idea, you have Somber Walled Sage, does basically the same thing. Again, Mithril Coat Protection Package. Sinvala. I could have removed Sinvala, but I just left it in for now. If you want to replace Sinvala, then you could try Leyline Immersion out. It's a little debatable. I do like that it taps for 5. It has wards, has a slight protection effect. But I just couldn't find a slot for this right now. Just couldn't make it in. But it's an option. It's a good option, too. And it could probably be replaced right here, honestly. But at the same time, adding X with X's greatest power is very, very, very strong. And usually, I don't know, at least 6. So you pay 1 to get 5. Same idea, but you could also pay 1 to get 10, or 12 from Ghalta. Shower of Arrows is here solely because I need some kind of anti-flying card. And as a bonus, it destroys artifacts or enchantments and scries. Basic removal, Song of the Dryads. Tranquil Frillback found its way in the deck specifically because it has Graveyard Exile. I know it's Graveyard Exile at 4 minimum, but chances are you're paying 5, blowing up an artifact and exiling their graveyard, and if you have the extra mana, you just gain the 4 life. I don't see too much of a drawback. If anything, it's tutorable, and you can pay the mana as it enters the battlefield. So, because Graveyard got me in a previous game, it really did. Let's see. Same idea here for big mana. Add X and any one color where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. There's a 5-drop that does this as well. You got Bear Umbra for untapping your lands on Omnath. This is like the power 4-drop section. So big mana, fast tutor, big mana, and then you have Perilous Vault for exiling stuff on the board when the game gets a little bit crazy. So, okay. The 5-drop section, honestly, is really stacked now. It is really solid. If you take a look through, create token and gain 3 life and draw a card. What's the downside? I don't see one. This is mainly for use for pay 5 and draw cards. It could be something else, but I really find that 5 mana is how much you want to pay for that ability. Hydra is a really solid attacker. Nisa's still in here. It could debatably be something else. I just haven't decided on what else. Its primary use, though, has been +1, untap a land, and that land taps for more mana. And if I'm returning a permanent, it's pretty much just strip mine. If I'm getting the -6 and I have an emblem and I draw an extra card theoretically every turn. So there's no real downside. Could be something else though. I was debating Sylvan Library on this. This is a new one. Deals combat damage, reveal that many cards, put a creature into a land card from among them on the battlefield. Crazy strong if it gets through. Instant speed card draw. Silverback Elder does all kinds of things. Destroys artifacts, puts lands into play. I can't say it lives very often, honestly. It usually just straight up dies. Unnatural Growth is in here because the deck was seriously lacking in muscle power, and this just fits the bill. This is more card draw, tutor, card draw, destroy. This is fix your mana base, get 2 forests, and then get 2 creatures into play. It's kind of nuts, honestly. Let's go to 6. Duplicants, just basic removal. Basic removal for Kolga. Rampaging Badalos, just great 4/4s. Surrak and Goreclaw for haste and trample. Wormcoil Engine, very solid creature. Death Touch, lifelink. Ancient Bronze Dragon always eats a kill spell, but it's very good if it actually works. Karn Liberated because you need removal, and removal comes at like 7. It's harsh, but true. Huge mana with Nyx Bloom Ancient. Sire of 7 Deaths. Sire of 7 Deaths is in here because I really wanted to up the protection ability in this deck. With just in general. So I have the 2 boots in the deck. There's always been 1 boot in the deck. But now that the 2 are there. You could also use like Dosan. Let's look up Dosan. Like you could use a Dosan, the Falling Leaf effect, and players can only play spells during their own turns. I have absolutely played this in the past, and it's works. Just not currently in there. I'm playing the boots in favor of Dosan and City of Solitude. So, City of... But either works, honestly. They perform very similar functions. The only bonus with Dosan is it prevents counterspells. So again, Ancient Bronze Dragons for pump. Sire of 7 Deaths is for a very vicious creature that they're going to have to pay 7 life to kill or blow the board. Tooth and Nail, powered up tutor to the max. More pump for Zorpandrel. Cityscape Leveler because you need big bad creatures that destroy things. You really do. And this is some top tier level stuff. It destroys on cast and it destroys when it attacks. So you probably could play some other Eldrazi. I was just never really on board with the Eldrazi. But you could flip this whole deck to be Eldrazi centric, and you would have to just gut it and make it 100% Eldrazi centric, but it would work. It'd be really easy to do. Oh, Galta the Stampede Tyrant is ridiculously vicious. If you have 8 mana and this is in your hand and you have other creatures, boom, you probably just gained ultimate board position and won the game. So, Vorinclex is back in the deck. I took it out a long time ago because I was tired of having people steal this from me. And that can really suck and ruin your day, but when they can't steal it from you, you can wreck them when this comes out, because they tap their lands and they're just done. They're done. They don't untap for one turn. Woodfall Primus, basic removal and beef at the same time, and it's a all-purpose attacker. Just swing and don't care if it dies because you get to destroy something else. So, ooh, if you have never seen Apex Allosaur is top tier game changing green removal. Yeah, it costs 9, but most of the time it kills 2 creatures minimum. And if you want to kill the Allosaur, then it usually kills 3 creatures, but I don't usually want to kill it sometimes. But that's just like boom, 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 30 damage, and as long as the Allosaur has enough defense left, you're good. Okay, the Great Henge, obviously really powered up. Taps for 2, gain 2 life, draw a card. When you play, whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a counter on, draw a card. The 10 section, big bad Eldrazi, because let's be realistic here. If you have a lot of mana, you're playing an Eldrazi of some kind. And I like the Annihilator and drawing 4 cards. And crazy as this sounds, I've used this as a removal spell to win games over and over again. Because I get to 10 mana, it's like, oh, I gotta kill your stuff. Boom! And it's gone. Worldspine Worm is just a big bad 15/15. That's, unless they exile it, it's coming back, basically, with your tokens. Galta's in here because it's a 12/12 for really cheap, you know it is. So, the land section. Alright, finishing up. Here is some deep dive landing for you. Exile Abstergo Entertainment. Return up to 1 target historic card from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile all graveyards. This is in here specifically because I need 2 types of, at least 2 cards to exile graveyards, which I have 2. This and Frillback. And now with this in here, I actually have 2 cards that can return permanents. I can't say I do that very often though. So I usually just move on to the next creature. Quick mana, modal destruction, or play it if you have to. Taps for 1 bonus mana. Let's see. Quick mana with Green Sun Zenith. Eye of Ujin is a tutor and a cost reduction. And there are actually quite a few colorless creatures in here now. I think there's at least 4. Oh, no, more than that. Cityscape Leveler. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6. So, yeah. Guy's Cradle. Sadly, Guy's Cradle usually taps for 2. All my things that generate tokens always end up dying. There are token generators in here too. I don't know. They eat the kill spells all the time. So, Homeward Path. You need to play Homeward Path. I saved myself in a game last weekend because I played Homeward Path and regained control of my creature. it was great after they played bribery on me, and I was like, oh crap, bribery. Um, Lair of the Hydra is just a man land. Mosswar Bridge is for, power play, put the card directly into play. Nixos is big mana, and it's actually better now, now that I've adjusted some of these cards, especially now that Unnatural Growth is in here. Rogue's Passage, unblockable. Strip Mine for very obvious reasons. You need to blow up some of those lands. Dual Land for tapping for 2, Temple of False God. Wasteland from blown up lands. Yavimaya Cradle Growth because I play, I believe, 10 colorless lands, and sometimes you just need to have this because you could potentially draw a bunch of colorless land, and that could really suck. So, and Regeneration for Yavimaya Hollow. And this is just, the most recent take on the deck. It feels a little bit better. It's definitely a lot more aggressive than previous versions. And I'm just going to see how it goes. And this is just going to stay the version for a while. There's a tweak here or there that could happen, but I'm happy with it. And that's one of the things you got to understand about deck building is you need to stop searching after a while. If you see my main deck card pool here at 582, you need to stop searching and just toss the deck together, give it a play, see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, you just change it up for next game. Or, well, next weekend, more realistically. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed a look at my Omnath deck. I'm thinking about a different graveyard style deck in the future because I've had it as a thought for a while, and maybe they printed a new commander at this point that I could find that's good and graveyard centric, because green is going really heavy on the mill draw. And to make that good, you would want to play black to get the creatures into play faster with all the 1 mana, 2 mana black spells that do that. You could technically do that with white as well. It's a little bit more expensive. You can't do it with red, and you can't do it with blue. So I guess the colors would technically be green, black, white, but it only really needs to be green, black. And then you kind of get choosy on what you would want next. I kind of like building 3-color decks, and I'd have to figure out what the commander would be. Because believe it or not, Omnath here has never really been that commander centric. Omnath is there because it goes big mana and it works, but it doesn't have to. It is not 100% dependent on the commander to win, which you kind of want that to a certain extent. Granted, you could find a really abusive commander and just go nuts, but you build around the commander, but you don't make it the only purpose of the deck. Because when you do that, you make your deck like a glass cannon, and if they have some effect that can ruin it, well, you're kind of done. And that's the thing with a graveyard mill, self mill. You could easily be screwed by some kind of automatic exile effect. Easily. So to counteract that, you would have to play discard or counter spells. There really isn't another option. Green doesn't have anything for it to prevent exile target player's graveyard. Red doesn't have anything to prevent that. I can't remember if white has anything. But even cards that say like cards in graveyards can't be targeted spells or abilities your opponents control, that's not going to help when they're just playing exile graveyards, period. If you understand. So, yeah, the next deck I make is going to be a lot higher risk, a lot higher reward. But I just wanted to give you an update here on Omnath and give you some hints on the future to keep you enticed. And I'll have to figure out what that is. I don't feel like doing any more searches right now. I think I'm good for Magic for a little bit. So we'll see when I get around to that. But anyway, this has been Matthew, and please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And check out my deck on Moxfield. There will be a link down in the description. You have a good day, all. Bye.